Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play Banjo-Tooie. In the last part, we did the Cleanup Chronicles, meaning we did pretty much everything we could with the abilities that we got from Glitter Gulch Mine, meaning the Bill Drill, in Spiral Mountain and Glitter Gulch, and Mayhem Temple, sorry. Basically, that means finding the fish, cleaning up the last Jiggy in a Mayhem Temple, and some just other various things. So at this point in the game, if you're following my guide and you just skip the Cleanup Chronicles, you should have your first Cheeto cheat, and you should also have all the Jiggies in Mayhem Temple. I'm just saying that just because, you know, a lot of people like to skip episodes like that, so, you know, if you don't like hearing my voice every single episode, because, you know, why would you ever do that, guys? I'm just kidding, I don't give a shit if you skip an episode, but just in case you did, that's basically what we did last time. Anyway, in order to get that Jiggy right there, all you have to do is get Dilberta back into that house. So, basically, you use the Bill Drill on that, one boulder in the prison compound in Mayhem Temple, and then she'll go in there on her own. You can take that tunnel to go straight to the Prospector's hut, but if you want to go the long way and go all the way to the Prospector's hut by leaving Mayhem Temple, going back into Glitter Gulch Mine, and going into it manually, she'll still show up there, too, as soon as you talk to Bill there. I don't know why you do it the long way, but it's an option. I might as well just say that right now. It's an option. So anyway, now that we're spending a longer period in Glitter Gulch Mine, I figured I'd talk more about why I like this level so much, because this might be one of my favorite levels in the entire game. Actually, no, scratch that. It is one of my favorite levels in the entire game. Not sure if it's my favorite level overall, but I love the level just in general. First reason, and it's kind of odd that I'm mentioning this first because you can't actually hear it right now because of the speed shoe jingle, the music. Glitter Gulch Mine has one of the best tracks in the entire goddamn game. It's so catchy and upbeat and awesome, and I love it. And second off, it's an underground level that I like looking at. I mean, look at the bright colors that the level has. Yeah, there's lots of brown, because, you know, it's a mine level, but there's also lots of purple, green, and blue because of the gem mounds. So this level has a lot of just visual variety that I enjoy, and it just makes the level less of a drag to go through, because underground motifs tend to be very bland. Anyway, you're going to want to land on that platform there, but I fucked it up. Yeah. Thankfully, that's not the, basically, that if you land on that platform and actually manage to walk through the door, you'll go into an underwater maze type area. And you swim through that a whole bunch, and then you'll find a Jiggy. I'm going to show you a different way into it when later on. Not this video, but a later one. But that's usually when I get that Jiggy right there, just because it's on my way. But there are alternate entrances and exits to that section of the level, so when they become relevant, I'll go there. No, the thing is that normally, if I were playing this on my own, I would go back all the way around and then try to get in there through the waterfall cavern again. But the thing is that because this is a Let's Play, I'm trying to record everything and do it as smoothly as possible. Meaning I'm trying to reduce backtracking, because A, it makes it easier for you to watch, and B, it reduces editing on my part, because that is boring as fuck. And so I don't like editing, and it's just easier for you guys to watch if you see the alternate entrance to the underwater maze-ish type area anyway. So, okay, I'll show you that then. But you're gonna wanna enter it normally through that tunnel, just because it's convenient and on the way. Also, in the room we were just in, the one with the water towers, there's a Jinjo in there that you cannot get at this point. You can get the Cheeto page, no problem, but you're going to have to wait until World 4 in order to get that Jinjo. This is one of a few very rare times when you can't get all of the Jinjos in a level to start off with. Most of the time, you'll be able to get all the Jinjos and all of the Jinjos, all of the notes, and all of the Jam Jars moves in the first time you enter a level, assuming you have all the moves that you've gotten from previous levels. In this case, you can't get all of the Jinjos in the level when you first start out, which is, I don't mind it too bad. It's kind of odd, because this is the only situation where that doesn't really apply. But you know what, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, and it's also a very easy Jinjo to get from World 4 anyway. Like, it doesn't require any obnoxious backtracking or anything, so I don't mind too much. Anywho, we're in a gas chamber right now, so we're breathing in insert fart joke here. So, as you can see, the air bubbles are going down. That'll also happen when you are underwater, obviously. Although the rate at which the bubbles go down depend on what you're breathing in. Like, I'm pretty sure gas and water have different breathing rates, and the type of gas you're breathing has different rates for bubble depletion as well. As soon as you run out of bubbles, your health bar will start going down at the same rate that your bubbles would go down. So, as if you're about to run out of bubbles, go back up to air as soon as you can, because although bubbles will refill once you reach air, your health will not. So you're going to want to make sure that you don't lose health underwater if it can be avoided. There are a few situations where it can't. Well, not really with water, but with gas I can see a few situations where you can't really avoid losing health. But for the most part, you're just going to want to avoid taking damage, which is probably the most obvious gaming advice I could ever give to anyone ever. So anyway, unlike most other levels, there's actually a warp pad inside of WUMBA'S hut here, meaning that if you're playing as Mumbo, you can't warp to WUMBA'S hut, which is kind of annoying, but considering that the entrance and exit warp is like 3 feet away anyway, it's not that big of a deal. But it's just a nice little attention to detail, because if you were reading some of the dialogue earlier, Mumbo and Humba don't really like each other very much, so it makes sense. Like, when you walk into Humba's hut when you're playing as Mumbo, she starts yelling at you and tells you to get out of her house and shit like that. So I find that pretty funny. Anywho, transformation time. This is the detonator. You are a detonator as this detonator. Basically, you hop around, and if you press the B button, you explode. Now, while that might sound pretty cool, it's kind of not, because exploding actually takes up a piece of your health. However, it also allows you to use these TNT barrels, which do not take a piece of your health. All you have to do is walk up next to them, and then they will explode, allowing you to open up different sections of the level. Like that hut there, which actually leads to the underwater maze area that I was talking about earlier. We'll go through there, I think, next part, maybe, and you'll be able to see that when I show it to you. There's a few different areas where you can use the detonator, but not too many, which is good. You don't have to go sprawling around the entire overworld looking for these things. One thing that I think this level does better than a couple of the other ones is that you only need to use the detonator one time in order to get everything you need to get done with it. If there's one part of the game in later levels that I guess I could nitpick on, is that there are times where you're going to need to transform into Humba's thing. Then you need to turn into Mumbo to do a thing. Then you need to be Banjo, and then you need to transform back. And you can't just do everything all at once. You need to go back and forth, and that's a little bit annoying. But considering that there's warp points next to Humba and Mumbo, anyway, it's not too big of a deal for the most part. It's just a minor annoyance, and it's not one that affects this level. It's just mostly later levels. Anywho, this box here, it's not important really for right now, but you're going to want to get this done before you head into the third world. Basically, you use the detonator to blow up these rocks, and then the box will move on into another section of this cave. However, it's going to stay there for a little bit. In World 3, there's a button you can press that'll link World 3 to Glitter Gulch Mine, allowing you to both go in between the worlds whenever you want, although this isn't really a convenient traveling point, but whatever. But also, it'll unlock a mini-game in that world, so you're going to want to do that if you can. It's just something you want to do now before you forget about it, just because it's a little bit annoying when you realize that there's something in an earlier level that you forgot to do that's important for getting a jiggy in a later level. Again, backtracking like this is just part of the genre. It's something that you've got to expect when you're playing a game like this. But I do like that if you do already know what you're doing, there's lots of tricks that you can use in order to avoid having to backtrack. I mean, again, this is the sort of game where you've got to like that sort of thing to begin with, and I understand that is a sticking point for some people. Like, it's just like, no, I don't want to play a backtracky game, and I can understand that sentiment. But if you do like backtracky games, I'll put it like this. If you can put up with the backtracky nature of some of these games, but you don't particularly like it, this game does an amazing job of being able to cut down backtracking as much as possible. You can pretty much, well, you can't eliminate it, but you can cut down a good 50% of it if you know what you're doing. And even then, if you're careful and you look around in a level enough, you should be able to pretty much eliminate the majority, like going at least world to world backtracking. You should be pretty much able to eliminate even in a first playthrough, I'd say. Like, if you're dedicated to 100%ing it the first time around, you should be able to do it. You should be able to do it your first time around. Anywho, if I remember correctly, the note that I missed, like I think I have every single note in this area except for one, and I think it's in the room with the spaceship box in it. So I believe that's where that one note I missed is, but I do go back and get it at some point. So don't worry too much about that. Anywho, as you saw earlier, the detonator can also blow up bill drill blocks. Or boulders, I should say. Normally, you should have the bill drill by now, because that's always the first thing I do whenever I get into this level. The first thing I do, walk straight up to that jam jar silo, get the bill drill. It's one of the, if not, it's one of the most important power-ups in the entire game, because you use it so goddamn much. But, oh, that's one thing that I fucking hate about the detonator. The jumping of the box. I mean, it's fine when you're walking around normally, but whenever you have to be precise with the fucking thing, it's obnoxious. I mean, nobody really... I mean, it doesn't ever really come up too often, but like there, I was trying to go onto the warp pad, but because I jumped too much, or just because I touched the control stick just a little bit too much, I accidentally pressed the B button too late, and I blew myself up. Thankfully, when you transform back to Banjo and Kazooie, your health bar will be back to the point to where you first transformed. So, if you transform into Banjo at 3 health bars, and you transform into the detonator, no matter how much health you have as the detonator, you'll have 3 health bars when you get out. So, that's good. So, if you waste a ton of health as the detonator, you're not really wasting all of your health as Banjo, you know. And also, killing yourself as the detonator is actually a pretty good speedrunning trick if you want to get back to the WIGWAM without a warp point anywhere nearby. So, there's your speedrunning tip from me. Kill yourself. I'm not kidding, that's actually a really good speedrunning trick in a lot of situations, because it'll always take you back to the last way you technically entered the level. So if you entered the level through the main entrance, you'll come back to the main entrance, or if you went through one of the more out-of-the-way entrances, you'll come back through one of those, or if you're Wumbo, you'll be, I just said Wumbo, if you're Mumbo, you'll go back to Mumbo's hut, etc., etc. It's a great speedrunning trick if you know when and where killing yourself is most effective. Most of the time I do it by jumping off of bottomless pits, just because it's a little bit more convenient that way. But, you know, running into an enemy over and over, or using the blow-up method with some of the explosion-type weapons, that's effective too. So, yes, suicide is a good option. Suicide is ExandShadow approved. In games, at least. I probably shouldn't have to put a disclaimer that suicide in real life is bad, but you never know, considering that this is the internet, you know. Anyway, I'm purposefully ignoring Canary Mary there because I fucking hate her because she's a piece of shit. I'm sorry. Basically, you have to use the detonator to blow up the boulders in front of that room, and then use the beak barge with Kazooie in order to break her out of the cage. And then you unlock the most annoying, well, not the most annoying mission, that's the Cloud Cuckoo Land version, but Canary Mary makes me want to tear my fucking hair out, and I fucking hate her because she's a piece of shit. Ugh. Why do I hate Canary Mary? Well, I could explain, but that's something that I think is better tuned to me discussing in depth. So, next time on Let's Play Banjo-Tooie, we race fucking Canary Mary for the first time, and I'm not excited about that. Oh, see, there's that note. Anyway, I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.